Hi, my name is Jeff Pagano, and welcome to the Harpin on Rugby preview show. Joining me to look ahead to this week's end return to URC action is someone earning cap number 35. Welcome back to Mr. Conor Cronin.
Good to be back.
Indeed, good to have you, sir. Well, we've just put the Ireland jerseys away. We barely had enough time to get the Leinster jerseys out again. But just before we focus on this week's feature match, why don't you just give us a quick overview of how things stand for Leinster this season in the two main competitions?
Yeah, look, we're in a really good place. We're top of the table in the URC, and if we were to win this weekend, we'd be going to the last two games in South Africa with top positions secured, and be uncatchable. And it's a great position to be in. You know, undefeated so far, and really, and having used so many players as well, which I know everyone looks at us, but sure, you always use so many players. But there's a lot of players who've really taken their opportunity this season, who've stepped up and said, you know what, I want to be in the shout for not just these URC games when some of those lads are away. I want to be more than that. And here's me proving why I deserve that opportunity. And particularly this most recent block of games, a lot of fellas have been asked to step up and put in a shift. And, you know, it's not just our big names have us undefeated so far. It's the fact that those lesser known names have also taken the step up. You know, Kigo said it a bunch of times. The jersey's just a number. You know, it's any man could step in and fill that jersey on any day. And we're really lucky that a lot of lads have stepped up to that so far. As I say, to be undefeated so far in the URC, we've got 2 weeks to go till we're back in Heineken Cup action against Ulster. And, you know, with all the footage going around, you know, a few of the lads who might be expecting to start that game are going to need a few more days off. So we're back to relying on these guys who've got us through this block with that undefeated tag still there.
Yeah, absolutely. And and it's like you say, it's back to the Heineken Cup next week, and it's just a week until the quarterfinals. After that, it's a very, very, very short turnaround. We're really into the business end of the season with the knockout games. Will be coming thick and fast for sure. And so why don't we just start harping on this week's feature match, which, as you can see there, is Leinster v the DHL Stormers. It's in round 16 of the 22-23 BKT United Rugby Championship, and it kicks off at the RDS Arena at 7:35 p.m. on Friday, March the 24th. The match is being broadcast on TG Cahir, Premier Sports 1, and Viaplay Extra, as well as, of course, URC.tv. Leinster named their starting lineup on Thursday afternoon, so let's have a look, starting with the back line. Fullback, we got Jordan Larmour. The wings are Dave Carney and Rob Russell. The centres, Kieran Frawley and Liam Turner, and the halfbacks, Luke McGrath and Harry Byrne.
Yeah, and you know what? With all the players that are missing, to still be able to put out that kind of a back line is, it's just brilliant. You know, I mean, if you start at the back, I think this is a great opportunity for Jordan Larmour, you know, who showed from the beginning of his career, you know, he wanted to be a 15 and wanted to work on that. And that's where he's been popped out on the wing more often. Just kind of how the way games have come around, and the way that, you know, with having had Rob Carney there for so long, and now Hugo Keenan, his opportunities at 15 are pretty rare. But this is a good chance for him, because if he puts in a really good performance, and he needs to make sure that, you know, he's still waving out the shop window at Andy Farrell and saying, oh, don't forget me. You know, you've used those guys a lot, but I'm still an option for much later in this calendar year. So I'm hoping he'll put in a really good shift. Rob Russell's been fantastic this season. He's been absolutely great. He has stepped up every single time. He's got plenty of tries to his name, and he's going to get out there on Saturday wanting more. And Dave Carney on the other wing, very, very reliable fella to have. You know, a decent, more mature head, surrounded by all these young guys or younger guys that'll be around them. They're all younger than me. So surrounded by them, it'll be good to have his kind of maturity and his knowledge and his awareness there on the field. I'm excited to see the centres. It's great to see Frawley back playing, and had a good outing last time. So I want to see a really, really good shift from him. And I think when we do see a really good shift from him this coming weekend, it'll remind a lot of people. I know there was a lot of doubt thrown around, people saying, what's he doing in the squad? And sure, he's not even, he's not X choice for his province or Y choice for the country. And when he gets out and he puts in a good shift this weekend, he'll remind people this is why he was part of the extended squad for the Six Nations. With the halfbacks, great to see Luke McGrath signing a new contract this week. I'm really, really pleased that he's opting to stay. I'm hopeful of seeing quick ruck ball from him. I want to see it coming out fast, because we're going to need that. We're going to need to put the South African lads under a lot of pressure, and a huge amount of that is going to come down to him getting the ball out quickly. And especially with some of their players, and we'll talk more about them in a couple of minutes. Those guys, they're going to want to come in for turnovers, and we need to get that ball secured and out and safe, and hopefully into confident hands with Harry Byrne at 10. I think a few of us have said it. He's a player who, if he's playing with confidence, that's what we need. We need the pack to front up and really give him a platform, and we need him to be playing confident and secure ball. That he's not worrying that, with quick ball, he'll be less worried about fellas running at him. They won't have the time. They'll be running in to get set in a defensive line, and suddenly the ball will be out already, and he'll have time to make his decisions and place the ball where he wants it to be.
Mm. Yeah, it's a very, very interesting backline. Like Leo said, going into this is the fourth of a block of sort of 4 matches around the Six Nations, that he wanted to keep the 23 as similar as he possibly could to get that cohesion going. It's a really good idea. It's worked really well so far. This is obviously, it's going to be its biggest test. The biggest changes we've tend to seen over these 4 matches is at 12 and 15 in particular, because of a lot of times because of injuries and stuff. But this particular combination is very interesting. I like the Harry Byrne, Frawley, and Liam Turner. They're a great complement to each other. They all do different things differently, and if they can get the mix just right, get Turner punching the holes when he can, and then Harry can get creative, and then Frawley creative as well. There's a lot of options there for them. But like you say, once they do get that quick ball, that's going to be crucial. And let's just see where they get that quick ball from, and have a look at the forwards now. The front row is Michael Milne, John McKee, and Michael Alatoa. The second row, Ross Maloney, Jason Jenkins, and the back row, Rhys Ruddock, who's the captain, Scott Penny, and Max Deegan.
Yeah, I'll start with the back row, who, again, there's that cohesion. There's that sense that these are 3 players who've been playing together a lot lately and playing really well together, really complementing each other. There's a definite 7, a definite 6, a definite 8. Like, everybody's got their definite role for what they've got to do. Who's going to be our runner, who's going to be our poacher, who's going to be our tackler. There's a real sense of everybody knows what they've got to do in that back row, and I'm very pleased to see that they're all in decent form at the moment as well. We've said it before, death taxes and Scott Penny tries. I'm hoping to see at least one from him, and Deegan the same. He's the kind of guy who you can never rule out for a try, because if he's playing well and he's playing with confidence, and there's no reason any of these players shouldn't be. And we've got through this block of games without losing, and they should all be very confident. In the second row, I'm really pleased to see Maloney and Jenkins playing together again. It's working well as a partnership. And Maloney, he's got that bit of dog in him. We've said it before. It needs to be there. You need to have somebody who's going to ruffle a few feathers and put a few people off, and he's a great man for it. And Jenkins, the guy likes to tackle, the guy likes to hit, and he's very strong in that tight head lock position for hopefully ensuring that we end up with a safe platform for the scrum. It's the front 3 that's I think they're going to have the biggest task, because if the weather stays anything like it is at the moment, wet and windy, and there's just that risk of knock-ons or knocks on regularly coming, and plenty of scrums to be had as a result. The front row are going to be under a lot of pressure to prove that they can hold it up in this with this strong an opposition. We're very fortunate with the lads who've been away at Irish camp, and what they provide and what they do for us at scrum time. But we're not guaranteed having them forever, so it's important that these guys show, be it injury, be it IRFU enforced absence, or whatever else it is, that they can make that step up and keep giving us the secure platform that we want.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely one of the matches we almost got Jenkins for, really. It's where, not just because they're South Africans, but I mean, the fact that he's well used to playing that kind of opposition, it definitely doesn't hurt. And like you say, if there's a chance there's going to be scrums, if there's a chance there might be penalties against us, we're going to be tested in one of the things that he's brought to our team as well, the defensive mauls, defending against mauls. That's one of his particular specialties, and he knows the way the South African teams will operate in that regard as well. So that's going to be a key area. But like you say, 1 to 8, it's going to be a definite battle up front there. Okay, so let's move on to the bench. And at 16, we got Lee Barron, Ed Burns back in the team, and Vaktang Abdulaza completes the front row. And then we got Brian Deeney, Will Connors, and then Nick McCarthy, Charlie Tector, and Ben Browley.
Yeah, and look, there's a lot there. If we start at the back, Ben Browley, he's had a really, really good season and really used this opportunity well. He'll be itching to come off and try and make a difference. Charlie Tector, who now probably is looking over his shoulder a little bit at Sam Prendergast, and he'll be expected to prove his mettle when he comes on. Nick McCarthy, he's a very steady player to have come on. You're not going to get anything exceptionally flashy out of him. What you're going to get is reliable, it's dependable, and it's probably what we'll need in the last 20 minutes, half an hour of this game. Deeney's using this another Joe McCarthy injury very, very well. He's got this real opportunity to be putting his hand up and saying, again, like a lot of other players, I'm how we're getting into this position, and I want to be there for the big games. So, and he'll have a good chance of being there for those games, depending on knockout stages and how we progress and how injuries go. The front row, they're going to need to be ready. They're really going to need to be ready and eager to be in a scrum battle, to take the most of to make the most of when the changes happen. They'll probably be called on, I expect, a little bit later than the Stormers' replacement front row will be called, and I think I think they'll need to come on.
That's the hope anyway.
Yeah.
I hope they're not going to have to make substitutions too early.
No, but they'll need to come on ready, and
yeah,
they'll have watched a lot, and hopefully they're going to use their position on the sideline to really look at what's happening in the scrum to see, okay, what's my opposite number going to do to me, or try and do to me when we get into that position. And then Will Connors, he's going to be coming on to tackle lads. A whole lot of tackles will be expected from him. I can't remember what game it was where he came on and was the highest tackler for half an hour. Half an hour of being on, and he was the highest tackler for the whole game.
He's like a machine.
And I'm really looking forward to watching it, just getting those fellas down, giving them no opportunity to make any game line success. And that's what he'll be coming on for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's and of course, obviously this is a top of the table clash. It's like you say, if we win, we can clinch. There's a lot riding on the actual game itself. But for a lot of these players, there's a bit of next week as well. in going on. We've got the knockouts in the Heineken Cup, and there's one or two players there. Forgot to mention when we said Harry Byrne, he could feature as well, because it's not looking like Sexton's going to get over that groin injury he picked up last week. So he could be looking for a bench spot next week. We got Ed Byrne back in the team as well. I'm thinking maybe Cian Healy could go to 18, and Ed Byrne, if Ed Byrne's fit, he could be looking to the 17 jersey next week and going forward as well. There's a lot of little subplots going on there in the team as well, and it's a big performance needed by all. And I couldn't let this go without giving this quote from Tom Coleman in our WhatsApp group. He said he's looking forward to seeing Penny and Connors on together, chopping box down like Christmas season at the Pine Farm. So there you go. Shout out to Tom for that. Okay, so listen, it's time now to have a look at our opposition, which is, of course, as the GHL Stormers. And as ever, my graphics department is going to put the names there on the screen, or if you're listening on the podcast, they can be found in the program notes. How do you think their lineup's looking, Conor?
Yeah, look, it's a really strong front row for starters. Malherbe and Kitchoff, they're names that stand out. They're names where you look at a team sheet and you say, oh, geez, they're playing. Now, I know they've had a little bit of time off and they've not been doing a whole lot for the last couple of weeks, which will hopefully leave them a little ring rusty. But at the same time, that they're top class players. So our front row, I've said it already, I'll say it again, our front row are up against it. They've got to prove that, that's not a big deal. And it's not a big deal to have these guys coming. We can still do a job. We can still do what we're supposed to do. I think in the back row, the name that stands out for me is Furry. That guy's just going to be looking for turnovers all day. He is going to wait. He's going to bide his time. He is going to take every chance that comes to him. That's why I said we've got to have that fastball. We've got to have it coming out of the ruck quick, and we've got to have the rucks resourced correctly to make sure he doesn't get that opportunity. Don't leave fellas isolated. Don't leave fellas running on their own, because he'll be looking for it. I think Livok at 10, another name stands out for me. He's played really well this season. I think there's a lot in what he can do. Sinatla, that guy's just looking for space. He's just looking for an opportunity to run. And we've got to be really wary of him. Their centre pairing are really strong as well with Willemse and Duplessis. There's nobody there to make up the numbers. They're coming to play. They're coming looking, saying, you know what, here's an undefeated team. Let's be the team to take them off that. Let's be the team that forces them to be under pressure when they come to South Africa in 3 weeks' time. Let's make sure we're the ones who, because in doing that, if they take the pressure, or if they put the pressure on us to have to go down to South Africa and come back with a couple of decent results, that's not going to be an easy ask. I think that there'd be a lot of comfort in walking away from this game with a win, knowing that they then cannot catch us. It is a tabletopper. It's an 8-point swing. It's us losing 4, but it's them gaining 4 if they get the win.
Yep, and on top of all of that, I could be wrong, but I think they're the only team in this competition that we've never beaten. You know what I mean? There's all these things, there's all these facets to the game, as if they don't have motivation enough just putting on the jersey and knowing there's a place to be fought for. But there's lots riding on it. I think I looked at all the other leagues and all the other matches. Well, I didn't bother looking at the Premiership because I knew none of those matches would beat the URC. But I looked at the top 14 anyway, and I couldn't see any matchups that come close to this one as a feature match of the weekend. So it's going to be all eyes on the RDS, I'd say. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the officials. You can see Sam Grove White there is holding the whistle with his other officials there. The weather for Dublin on Friday evening at the moment, the forecast is mostly cloudy with a little rain, 7 degrees, 55% chance of rain with the wind, heavy wind, 32 to 69, headed more towards the south stand. So we'll see if that plays a part. And that just brings us into our prediction. We put our heads on the block and see how the 4 provinces are going to be doing. So starting with Connacht, who host Edinburgh.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at. I don't think they've named team sheets for that match yet.
No.
So hard to know who they have available and who will be out or not. But I think Connacht at home, I want to say Connacht by 6.
Yeah.
I think they'll edge that. It'll be a tough game and it'll be a decent game to watch, but Connacht will edge that.
Yeah, we're recording on Thursday evening, and all those other matches are on the Saturday, so they won't name the teams until tomorrow. So, but we can have we have a sense of what their teams are. And the next game is this is a big one in terms of playoff positions. It's Munster at home to Glasgow.
Yeah, I think Munster are fortunate in some ways that they've had, again, a bit like ourselves, a lot of cohesion in the team that they've been able to name for the last number of weeks. And that won't change going into Saturday, I don't think. I think it'll be a lot of the same names that they've had playing for the last few rounds. I'm expecting Munster by 12 on that.
Yep, they're definitely favourite, all right. And of course, all these games, of course, have playoff implications. It's not just the Munster one, and that puts us to the Kingspan, where Ulster hosts the Bulls.
I think that'll be much tighter than some people are going to give it credit for. I think the Bulls will really want to do a number up there, but again, the cohesion, the consistency of players being available. I'm expecting Ulster by 4 on that one.
Okay, and finally, our own feature match at the RDS.
Yeah, and I think at the time recording, bookies had us by 6 or 8.
Yeah. It was 10. It was 10 before the teams came out, and then it went down to 6 then.
Yeah, I would still say 10. I think the home advantage, and I think the hunger of some of those players. And we saw some of that hunger when we played Stormers last year in South Africa. You saw at the end of the match, Alex Soroka really arguing with the leadership team, saying, why are we putting this ball out? We could have taken a win here. And I think a few of those lads are going to be looking and saying, we didn't get the opportunity for that win last year. We're taking it this year. So I think Leinster by 10.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a good statement because, like you say, all of our last 3 matches are against South African teams. We've only played the Sharks, and they gave us a good run as well at the RDS for a while. We won comfortably in the end, but they were ahead a couple of times in that one. So it's a real test to finish out the regular season, all right. And but hopefully we'll give them a taste of the South African teams are still getting used to the course of the season, how to manage the squads. And of course, now they've got the Currie Cup going on as well. So they've got, 2 different squads going on, and they're still getting used to that. Hopefully we'll show them how it's done and how these players are going to come out and display. I would still say Leinster are the favorites, but it's certainly not going to be easy. Okay, and just one last thing. Best of luck to Nicola Friday and the Irish women's squad ahead of their Six Nations campaign, which kicks off against Wales at Cardiff Arms Park at the weekends. Right, we're going to leave it there. Many thanks to Conor for joining me for another preview show.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. And be sure to join the conversation on Mastodon throughout the match. Then maybe head over to our Facebook page at full time to leave your thoughts there. In the meantime, enjoy your weekend of rugby wherever you are, and stay safe, everyone. Slán.